Number 8, Falcons.
Falcons at 8.
Now, with their liberated freedom of number 8, with a quarterback already in the building.
That's what it is. I think that their ability at 8 to not stress Jaden Daniels or Drake May and trade up or get a second rounder or whatever it is. Now they can potentially take the best defensive player on the board in Atlanta.
Can we break the news that we think we can secure the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons on the show at some point?
Yeah, Zach. Well, we have 2 friends that are offensive coordinators now.
Yes,
2
former colleagues.
Bobby Slowick,
former members of this podcast.
Each
of them.
Not just friends of the podcast, contributors.
Yes.
And Bobby Slowick is like, hard no, I can't do media. Can't do it.
Yeah.
It's over there doing Schefter's pod.
Right up until they tell him to do Schefter's
whatever
show.
you want. We're doing all this other stuff. We're like, Bobby, maybe he'd be a head coach if he did our show. Maybe. You don't know. Now he's stuck with his pay rise.
With his more money.
At offensive coordinator. Yeah. But Zach did not give us a hard no about joining the show. So maybe we'll get him in the future. He needs to be one of those like weekly contributors.
Weekly, yeah, the Pat McAfee thing, you know? We don't have $1 million to pay him for that.
I actually never want that because I don't want to have to do the interview. Be like, hey man, you got shut out last week. Right. What went wrong?
So Atlanta 0, Tampa Bay 42.
You're getting trashed in the media for calling 42 runs and 12 passes. Why'd you do that last week, Zach? So yeah. I'm not ready to do the weekly.
You do need the freedom to just, hey, how about we have rain check this week?
Yeah,
like the Buffalo, true, yeah. Like the radio guys sometimes do. Are like, hey, we can't have you on a Ford today. The Sabres coach is, he's become unexpectedly available.
With breaking news today.
Right.
We'll do next week.
He's become unexpectedly available. We're gonna have to bump you. We need like the out for Zach. Things haven't gone well that week.
So Zach has some very, very important, perhaps on location draft meetings this week. They're having draft meetings at that place I told you.
Yeah.
He's got draft meetings this week with the brass in Atlanta. But in the coming weeks, hopefully we can get him on the show here.
Cool. So they now have Drake London. They signed Darnell Mooney. They got Ray McLeod from San Francisco. Kyle Pitts, obviously a tight end. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. They are fairly stacked. They got Rondale Moore somehow in Desmond Ridder, getting rid of him. This is a pretty stacked offense. On the other hand, they're sitting there at number 8 overall with Rome Odunze on the board, who we said in most other years would be wide receiver 1.
This is where I would just imagine. I'd be sitting there in the draft room picturing and maybe enticing people to make bad decisions. Because I would say, I know we just spent the 4th overall pick on a supposed generational tight end 2 years ago, 3 years ago. However, could you imagine all those playmakers plus a Brock Bowers? Wow. Could you imagine that? Just picture all of this.
I mean, I am also going to be planting seeds in the head of former colleague Zach Robinson that I think Pitts needs some X reps. I think you need to give him a shot.
Yeah, he's an X, and Bowers. I mean, think he could play Tin Cup. Think about the Tin Cup playing. Brock Bowers. Oh, look, he's a fullback running wheel routes now. Think about all the ability here.
I just feel like Zach owes it to science to see what Kyle Pitts can do as an X.
We'll see how much he conveys. Just texted me.
Yeah, well, we can ask him a whole bunch of things that he won't answer live on the air when he's.
He just texted me right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm spreading a lot of hype about another potential first-round receiver. I think first-round receiver. Anyway, we'll see how he answers because I don't know if Zach's going to be in the more traditional like tight ends play tight end, running back plays running back, and it'll all work out, or if he is going to be trying to move pieces around a lot.
So they've got Rome Odunze, they've got Brock Bowers, and then they've got any defensive player they want off the board. Like first defender off the board, effectively, is their choice, right?
So based off the moves they made, personally, my eyes are lighting up, right? I don't think you can ever have too many playmakers. I think if you're going to play the Kirk Cousins strategy, right? When you go and get Kirk Cousins, there's enough teams in the league who are like, of course we're not going to take Kirk Cousins. He's not the guy that's going to lead us to a Super Bowl. And then there's enough teams like the Falcons who are like, well, the alternative is so bad. We're absolutely all in on Kirk Cousins. If you're going to play that game, you go nuts for playmakers. You just go crazy. You just have so many options, and that's your best chance of winning.
Yeah.
And so that part of me says, give me the next best playmaker here. Give me Rome Odunze. Like Darnell Mooney becomes my 3, and he's more of a deep threat anyway. Like Darnell Mooney shouldn't keep me away from Rome Odunze. Odunze in London, Mooney as a 3, Rondale Moore and Ray McLeod. Boom. We've got playmakers plus Pitts at tight end. Plus Bijan. I know I recited everything you just said.
Yeah.
I'm attracted to that. I'm attracted to the Bowers thing. I don't think it's likely.
Right.
They bring in Charlie Warner as more of a blocking tight end to complement Pitts. I don't think it's likely. But I think you have to have those conversations if you're Atlanta.
I think the first corner off the board is very much in play here. A.J. Terrell is still there. They don't really have cornerback 2, really. Clark Phillips, maybe, but he's a typical slot guy. Now you're wanting him to be your number 1 or your number 2 opposite A.J. Terrell. This, I think, is a real potential for the first corner off the board.
Yeah. Honestly, Sam, I think it's a really good draft for a lot of high-value positions. Receivers, tight ends, corners, edges. I know you and I both love Laiatu Latu from UCLA. Mm-hmm. I think edge is in play here. Jared Verse, Latu. I think Dallas Turner realistically will be in play. You and I are lower on him than some others. Those are all realistic plays. I don't hate the cornerback view, though. Are you going to be, we've talked a little bit off air, but are you going to be with me on Terrion Arnold as CB1?
Probably. Terrion Arnold has the best man cover skills I can remember for a cornerback coming into the NFL draft, right? They are sick. They are better than Sauce Gardner's were when he came in. They are better than any corner I can think of. But his zone coverage skills are nowhere near as good, and actually I think probably a little bit below the average of the top tier corner prospect coming in, and most NFL teams play zone most of the time, so that's a little bit worrying. But
zone match, though, I mean, you're going to have plenty of one-on-one
I know, but I'm so in love with his man cover skills that, like, this is where, the head over heart thing, my head would be going, don't go crazy here, there's enough flaws here to be scary, rein it in, and my heart would be going, throw in the card, get him.
I'm with you. I think I was on the plane to Cancun grinding. I was on the plane sitting next to my wife grinding Terrion Arnold film, texting you because I missed you while I was headed off to Cancun, and I was like, man, that dude's awesome. Man coverage skills. I'm with you. So I would be okay with Arnold. He's currently number 12 on the consensus draft board, NFL mockdraftdatabase.com. He's number 12 overall. Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo's number 13. Nate Wiggins from Clemson's number 20.
Those are the top 3, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair.
You see Wiggins packed on 10 pounds for his pro day?
Oh, so he's heavier now.
Yeah, by 10 pounds-ish. So he ran. He did exactly what they all try and do, right? He got all the weight off, ran 4.27, and then put 10 pounds back on the next week.
That's great. So now he looks like he's heavy and fast.
Right.
Heavy enough and fast. I'm okay with Terrion Arnold. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, what the hell not? Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Arnold, CB1. By the way, I said I sent this text to Trev when I watched him. I finally got around to watching Terrion Arnold, and I'm so mad that anybody ever told me Kool-Aid was better.
I think Kool-Aid's still good. He's still good.
I was angry that was a thing.
I got to go
Haven't
back.
Watched him.
I got to watch more Kool-Aid. We'll do some cornerback rankings at some point too. I'm always fascinated to hear your wide receiver and cornerback takes. I think all of our listeners are as well. And we try not to share them too much to each other.
Fascinated is a kind word for it.
We're just they're ready to be angry.
Yes,
ready
that's exactly
to
what
be
it is.
angry.
Uh-huh.